Hey everybody, Commander Arcanic back after a long hiatus, and I'm here to fill you in on the news from the past year or so regarding green gas giants. At the moment, I'm planning on doing these once every year, but we'll see how that goes. Alright, first, let's go over the new GGGs found since my last GGG video. At the time of recording this video, there have been 8 new additions to the list. So, let's check them out. In 3309, we had 4 new green gas giants turn up. Besides the first one, which was discovered the 1st of February, the 3 other green gas giants were all found later in the year in the same month of August, with almost 1 week separating each other. These really aren't much to write home about. All 3 of them have little to no green on their surfaces. The first one of the month, Class 1, discovered in the Flyage sector by Commander Samatni Avenger Unique, has the largest noticeable change, the poles having changed to a darker red color. That's about it. With that, the 5th discovered ammonia-based life green gas giant. It orbits an M-type and very far away at that. As a result, it is not very well lit, and even though there is some green on it, I honestly don't think it's worth totally going out of your way to visit, unless you're a completionist like me. The final one discovered in the year 3309 is a Class 1 en route to Colonia, located in the Gyoflyo sector and discovered by Melvin Carter. Besides from one good spot in this picture, that's practically all that's changed on this gas giant. So far in 3310, we got 4 more flamboyant looking planets that we can enjoy. In March, we actually got a very nice looking Class 2 green gas giant in the Blue Athua sector, discovered by Commander Jacob Astor, about 2,000 light-years away from Sol in the direction of Sagittarius A star. It's a very nice pink equatorial cloud band and a good amount of green for Class 2. Its nearby moods host great vantage points as well. Discovered on April 20th by Commander Pajoda 62 Tatanka is this Class 1 in the Rigo sector. Believe it or not, this is the second known GGG in the Rigo sector, after Radioactive Green, which, even though is shown in the Cold 285 sector override sphere, its real proc-gen name is Rigo ARM-H C24-1. And funnily enough, this system was first listed in EDSM all the way back in 2017 by Commander Dan56. This system had 3 people fly through it before the Codex alert in 2024. Just a reminder to scan your gas giants. This one I recall took a while to get to, as it is in a region of lower star density and over 1100 light-years above the galactic plane. Also keep in mind that it is just shy of 300,000 light-seconds from arrival. Fast forward to the middle of July, and we get our 17th Class 1 GGG known to date, discovered in the Eos Owsey sector by Commander Mopsy Thompson. Just like the previous one in Rigo, there's plenty of pink swirls going on around the surface, and a very big storm that has not been altered. This planet also has a moon skirting the edge of its rings, which you can see here. The final one that has been discovered as of making this video in August is another Class 2 discovered in the Brysu sector in the Arcadian Stream, found by Commander Diaflex. And there's something special about this one. No, there's not much pink or green color on it, and yes, it is in binary with the water giant, but this is the first discovered GGG that exists in a helium-rich system, its atmospheric makeup being 69.44% hydrogen and 30.56% helium. This gives me more hope that somewhere out there exists a green helium-rich gas giant. Alright, currently this is Class 2 GGG number 12, bringing the known total of GGGs in the Milky Way to 55. Question is, with these newfound GGGs, have we learned anything new that could potentially help us retroactively find lost GGGs? But we have received a few hints from none other than Dr. K. Ross. I figured I would ask, and hopefully I would get some sort of answer, about how the green gas giants in the game occurred and what went wrong in their generation. Luckily, she replied back and gave me a lot more than what I was expecting. Her reply went as follows. Hello. Their existence is from a combination of intentional and unintentional sources. Gas giants with bioluminescence were always intended, from in-lore primitive life being in some of the cloud layers. If I recall, the classification for them was in the game from the start, and should, I think, have set the emissive color. However, there was also a bug in the color selection algorithm for gas giants. Luminous green was also set as a default color when picking the colors for the bands of clouds, which would be replaced with the correct color as it goes through composition, temperature, and depth calculations. There was also a possibility for the calculation to pick very slightly outside the range intended, which returns no color change, so remains default bright green. So, we at the office saw the occasional glowy green gas giant in screenshots and thought, oh pretty, bioluminescence, until it was pointed out that the gas giant classifications didn't always match up. Then a decision had to be made. If we fixed the color picker, it would remove green gas giants that had become well loved by the community. So, we didn't fix the color picking, but we made the color picking be able to detect these cases and change the classification of the gas giants so they should all proclaim bioluminescent life. I think we also changed it so it used a safe shade of green rather than the debug warning green. There's quite a lot of information to digest here. Interesting how she mentions that gas giants with bioluminescence always being intended. Besides seeing the orangish color on the gas giants with water-based life, I don't quite see where exactly the bioluminescence was implemented, if it was. The classification for them was probably just the life-bearing gas giants of we know now, the water-based and ammonia-based life gas giants. The next paragraph is more interesting. She tells us before gas giants colors are given to it, the entire thing is neon green. The algorithm written to color the planet used its physical parameters to style it appropriately, most notably using temperature, composition, and depth. Depth in this case I assume to be the different altitudes of clouds generated on the surface of the planet, which noticeably cast shadows onto the lower layers. It is composition here that I found most interesting, but more on that later. Something in one of or some of these values made the algorithm choose a value that was not expected for the program, which failed to change the default color and remains neon green. How the other different colors like bright purple and pink come about from this error, I still have no idea. From the first sentence in her third paragraph, this makes me think the bioluminescence she spoke of earlier was meant to be some form of neon green color. And to them, this was normal at first, as if I recall correctly, the first 5 ever green gas giants discovered were either green gas giants with water-based life or ammonia-based life. Thankfully, they chose to keep our beloved bugged planets and modify the algorithm to detect when it chose a value outside of the set ranges and failed to change the color, and told the game to change its classification so it would say that these planets contained some sort of bioluminescent extremophiles life. As for the last sentence, I would say that the green color of these planets weren't changed per se, just that over time, the lighting of Elite Dangerous was changed and so looks different because of it. But I don't know, you be the judge. Back to that little thing on composition. Honestly, what the journals tell us, there really doesn't seem to be a certain composition that decides if a gas giant turns green or not. Perhaps in this case, it is both a certain temperature and a certain composition that in tandem trigger the bug to occur. That is something I'm not smart or savvy enough to figure out. Or perhaps it might not even be possible to figure out. In the journals, the atmospheric constituents of these planets are also given floating point numbers that include 6 decimal places. Thing is, adding up these numbers sometimes does not exactly yield a sum of 100. For example, the figures given in the journal for the EFOP anomaly add up to 100.000004. But this discrepancy is not what makes it green, as using the figures given for the GGG in the Greater Hypu sector give exactly 100. The game might be rounding these values for the journal, which is extremely unfortunate if that's true. If they're not being rounded, then, well, I don't really know why these don't add up to 100. Thanks, SolarForge. If any of you guys can find commonality in this dataset, surely let me know. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is my theory regarding green class 3 gas giants and their specific steps of 30 Kelvin in temperature that turn them green. Through using his strange voodoo powers, Commander Matt G, who has been instrumental in helping research GGGs this far, combed through the data dumps of the class 3 gas giants and found ones that fit the missing steps in temperature. Easier said than done. These are at 430 Kelvin, 460 Kelvin, and 730 Kelvin. And surprise, surprise, they're duds. Perhaps the developer who coded these ranges into the algorithm performed the same error that caused the suppression cross. Instead of using an inclusive operator in the range, such as less than or equal to, an exclusive operator was used. Take this statement, for example. Assuming that 670 Kelvin was coded correctly, the range for class 3 gas giants from 670 to 700 Kelvin would correctly output a certain color scheme. This includes the temperature of 670 Kelvin, and logic would be used to appropriately change the color from here to 700 Kelvin, but not exactly at 700 Kelvin, because that would be used for the next range. Consider the next statement. The range from 700 Kelvin to 730 Kelvin was written for the algorithm to choose colors for. Notice how for 700 the operator is greater than, when it should be greater than or equal to. Recall in the previous statement, there was only logic to deal with temperatures from 670 to just shy of 700, not including 700. So, on an imaginary number line, the program knows what to do with every value both greater than 700 and less than 700, but has no instruction when the value is exactly 700. I bet that's what happened here to some extent. Some ranges were coded correctly, and some were not coded correctly. One more thing I should probably tell you about what Dr. Ross said. I asked her if there are any green class 5 that should exist, and she said that there shouldn't be any. But as I was making this video, someone a few hours ago messaged this, asking why there shouldn't be any class 5 green gas giants, and if she doubts if there are any helium-rich gas giants as well that are green. I'll follow the discussion and wait for her reply, and if she does reply, I'll definitely tell you guys. Alright, that's about it for now. I've been gone for a while, and I'm very excited to continue exploring, especially since someone I know discovered a GGG for the first time, Commander Diaflex. This really makes me want to get out there and find the next one. Who knows, maybe you'll find one before I will. Just be sure when that happens, tell me the location immediately, self-destruct, so I can get there first and steal it. I'm joking. Alright, take care, Commanders. I've been Commander Organic. Till next time.